Committee members present, President Kuchmarek, myself, Councilor Di Natale, Councilor Donnelly, Councilor Joseph, Councilor Bezal. We will start with, if there's no objection, I'm going to put these four together. The first three, 289-17, 290-17, and 291-17, and also including 294-17, all pertaining to the fire department. 289-17, in order that there and hereby is appropriated the sum of $165,000, same to be charged against available funds and credited to fire capital expenditures, departmental equipment for the purpose of acquiring Jaws of Life rescue equipment for various extrication emergencies. 290-17, in order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $20,000 to be charged against available funds and credited to fire capital expenditures, building improvement for the purpose of replacing the driveway in front of the apparatus bay at the North Street Fire Station. 291-17, in order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $36,000, same to be charged against available funds and credited to fire capital expenditures, automobile for the purpose of replacing a support vehicle. And 294-17, in order that the City of Fitchburg approves the expenditure of funds from the MEMA Emergency Management Performance Grant in the approximate amount of $14,460 for the purpose of said grant, which is to purchase specialized protection equipment for an active shooter or hostile environment event. Chief Roy.
Councilors, thank you very much. Councilors, this is, the first three are capital improvements, obviously, some of which we've been waiting for, some of which we've applied for grants and not received the grants. The first one is our total of our extrication tools. As many people know, the Jaws of Life. We have 3 full sets on both ladder trucks and the heavy rescue downtown, and one smaller set on engine 2 up in Clegon because they respond to Route 2 and the highway. These are the tools that we use during automobile accidents, plane crashes, industrial accidents. Most of this equipment was bought in the late 1970s. It was bought through the Jaws, through the Hearst Tool Corporation. We no longer can get parts for these. They're attached to 100-foot reels that are hydraulic hoses that bring these heavy-duty, as Councilor Boschman saw today, pieces of equipment that are totally outdated. They do not function on some of the newer cars today that have stronger, lightweight metals. This has been something we've needed for a few years, but we did apply for a grant for 2 years through the AFG. We were unsuccessful. Honestly, I don't see us being successful under the fire grants because this is extrication equipment. So this would replace all our tools, all our extrication heavy-duty tools. The newer tools are much lighter. They're all battery-operated. You're not restricted to the length of the hydraulic hose anymore or dependent on starting a gasoline engine to make them function. It's all pop in a battery, pop out, lightweight, and it's really nice, modern equipment that it's badly needed. Want to just run through all of them, Councilor? You want me to run through all of them? The second one is repairs to the front of North Street Station. The apron that we call it, where the apparatus doors come out in front of the building, is blacktop. It's now 18 years old. And through the weight of our trucks, we have a lot of dipping in the blacktop. It's settling. It has dropped down to the point now in some places it's 3-4 inches down. And when the trucks are coming out or backing in, they're slamming down on their suspension systems and on their tires. Got together with DPW, Gary Bevilacqua. We determined the best way and the most expedient way, dollar-wise, was to take out 25 feet out from the building and the full length of the front of the apparatus bays, repave with 6 inches of blacktop. Gary got prices for me on this, and the $20,000 will do that. It's really much needed. It's doing damage to our trucks, and it's something that we need to upgrade to stop that and to make the front of the building, bring the level of the blacktop back to where it should be for all the apparatus. The third thing is
Chief,
Yep.
if you...
Yep.
Pardon me,
Questions?
Council
Yep.
Cap.
That's something you're going to make this year before the
No,
surplus?
we'll start it right in March. We talked to Phil Albert, and we thought when we initially talked about it, but by the time we got through this, so it'll be something that we'll get going right away as soon as the weather breaks and Phil starts doing his work.
President Kuchmarek.
Chief, fair to assume that this is, because of the weight of the trucks, will continue to kind of stay the same?
Well, it will, and Gary and I spoke about that. This lasted us 18 years, and we don't believe it was 6 inches initially. So we believe that well, hopefully it's getting another 15, 18 years out of it. Really down the road, the entire parking lot would need to be done.
Sure.
But we've filled cracks and to try to keep it up and maintain it over the years. But this has just gotten to the point where the trucks are just slamming coming out of the building, and it's really something we need to upgrade. So my anticipation is that it'll last. I don't think the truck's gonna get much heavier. The trucks in recent years are getting a little lighter because of lighter metal. They use aluminum now and stainless steel. So hopefully it'll last longer than 15 years, but at least that amount of time.
Understood, thank you.
The third thing is just our continued upgrade of our fleet of support vehicles. We're down to where we only need one a year now. This will be replacing a vehicle that's almost 15 years old, over 100,000 miles. It's got transmission problems, it's got rusting problems, and if we can continue on this path, we're going to be in good shape with support vehicles. Thanks to the mayor and city council in recent years, we did catch up with 2 this year, so this will put us on course to get 1 per year.
Mr. Chair, if I could.
President Kuchar?
Fair to assume these are, these support vehicles are all, new and fuel efficient as well, and we're.
Yes, absolutely. They're Fords. They're the typical off-the-line out of MHQ. They're the standard work vehicle for this type of work.
Thank you.
Counsel Joseph?
No doubt that all of this stuff is necessary. If I was going to be here in January, I'd probably vote against this because I would rather see this come to us in May or in the after, when it's getting closer to the end of the year, not in the middle of the year, still not knowing what lies ahead in the year to find out what available funds could go to. I think it's premature to be spending a couple of $100,000 on things that, not definitely needed, but I would have liked to have seen that the money was available in May before the end of the year, not in December before we even go through the rest of the year. So I guess that would be my only thing. They have no problem with any of this, but I would just rather see if any emergencies came up that the city is needing this money's committed and it's gone. So that's my only gripe. So
I understand, Carl, and just a comment on that is, you were here from 2008 until 2015 when
Nothing.
we put these things off, and then they never happened, and now here we are sitting tonight. So, I think the mayor's been gracious that apparently there's free cash available to do these things, and they are badly needed. I understand your point, though. The last thing is just an acceptance of a EMPG grant, and I'd just like to give credit. Chief Martineau and myself, as you know, work closely together. We've started bringing our city up to the current standards on these, we call it an ASH training, which is active shooter hostile event. Fitchburg Police has been training in that mode of how you go in and stop these events that are happening every day across our country. But at the same time, you need to get medical people in and treat the people that are there. And all the way back to Columbine and through Sandy Hook, we've seen that some of those techniques didn't work. This grant we're going to use to outfit our people, our EMT firefighter people, during one of these events with ballistic gear. We've had training through Fitchburg Police Patrolman Beef LeQuire, Ron. Got together with Rich Liberatore, our training person. We're going to continue training. We're actually going to run drills. Fortunately, we came across a grant that qualified us to get this protective equipment for our people, and that's what we're going to use the $14,000 for this year. It's no match. It's a straight EMP emergency planning grant that we can use towards that equipment. And that training is going to continue. I think they've already scheduled for some dates for active tabletops and drills, fire and police combined, working on these issues.
motion to,
Counsel Clark?
Thank you very much. Chief, is Fitchburg State helping out in this?
They are very much.
Yeah, I know they do a lot of work developing classes
They
just
have.
about every week throughout.
We have a very good relationship between Fitchburg Police, Campus Police, and our people working together on these issues, and they're always stepping up to the plate and asking to help out, and they've been involved. They actually attended the training with that Beef gave to us.
motion to approve 289, 290, 291, and 294.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve 289-17, 290-17, 291-17, 294-17. Speaking on the motion. All those in favor? Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you, Chief.
Council, if I could just, for a moment, I'd just like to, kind of unusual that 5 councilors are leaving the council here at one time. I just would like to say, Councilor Bean, Councilor Donley, Councilor Tran, Councilor Bezal, and Councilor Joseph, we've been through some bad times when it wasn't so great here and things were difficult, but I would just like to thank you all for your support of our department on behalf of the citizens of Fitchburg, for our safety, and for your dedication to the council, and we're going to miss you. Thank you very much.
Moving on to 29217, in order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $154,054,532 sin to be charged against available funds and credited to police capital expenditures, vehicle replacement for the purpose of replacing 4 detective vehicles and 1 frontline vehicle. Chief Martineau.
Evening, councilors. Thank you. Here once again requesting support to continue our vehicle replacement within the fleet. This year is a strange occurrence where we're looking to replace our detective vehicles. I'm looking to replace 4 2005 detective model cars. Each of them have well excess of 50,000 miles, and they're starting to cost a lot of money to repair. We usually purchase detective vehicles about every 10 to 12 years, so that's why you're seeing 4 come out at once. Typically what you're going to see is replacement of 2 line vehicles each year. We've been very fortunate with the support of the council and the mayor to do just that each year, replace 2 line cruisers each year. This year, we're looking to replace only 1 line car because the other line car we took out of our towing account, revolving account funds, so we paid for that second car out of that, which did not come out of general fund. So if we continue down this road, this year we'll have 2 new vehicles. It's been my goal to try to replace the frontline vehicles before they hit 100,000 miles. We've been purchasing the extended warranty on all our new line cars, which is saving a significant amount of money in repair work by purchasing that additional warranty on a new car. So this year, what you see for this 154,000 plus is 1 line vehicle. We're replacing car 6, which currently has around 90,000 miles on it, and 4 old detective cars.
Council Donnelly.
Thank you. I just want to comment, I think it's about time that we approved money for this. I do remember years ago, they bought 2 or 3 with a loan for construction with the DPW. They bought a grader and a big truck. It was going to be a 5-year loan. These cars only last a year or 2.
3.
So we were going to be paying on this loan, and they had to buy new ones. This is the way to do it. That was a horrible way that it was done a few years ago. Thank you.
Council Joseph.
Same comment on the timing. I mean, it's hard to argue when you have $3 million left over in available funds afterwards, so it's a moot point, but I just wish we were seeing it later in the year as opposed to earlier, but good luck to you and your
Thank you. I understand.
Motion to approve 29217.
Motion made and seconded to approve 29217. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous.
Thank you, councilors. I'd just like to echo the same words as Kevin Roy. It's been a pleasure working with the outgoing councilors. I wish you all the best success in your future endeavors, and we're going to truly miss you, and Merry Christmas to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
29317, in order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $30,000 to be charged against available funds and credited to general insurance expenses for the purpose of obtaining the services of an insurance advisor.
I'll speak to that if I may.
Mr. Brooks.
Yeah, this is a request. The Insurance Commission is currently in the process of getting an insurance advisor to look over the insurance policies we have for the property insurance and general liability, to make sure that our coverages are correct, to make sure we have property properly listed, and to see what if any savings there could be in possibly going out to bid for insurance in the coming fiscal year, which would be FY19. I think this kind of is a couple of reasons. One is it's time. We haven't done this in a long time. There've been some changes in personnel, and I think given the situation we're going through with B.F. Brown, it's probably time to just take a look at what we're doing to make sure that we're properly covered. As I have said in my initial request, this is a one-time spending. We don't anticipate this would be an ongoing project. It would be one time to just go through and make sure everything is in order.
Counselor Joseph?
Is this an independent insurance advisor? It has nothing to do with the company that we're getting our insurance through,
Correct.
right?
This would be an advisor contracted, who's working for the city and on the city's behalf. And if we were to go out to bid, it would be with specifications, and then the current whole insurance provider, which is Maya, would be one of several bidders. There's some question as to whether it would work. We've had a couple of insurance companies come in and expressed interest in the city's business. So there's some interest out there. The question is it worthwhile for us to pursue that or not? So that's one part that this insurance advisor would help us with. The other part is just making sure that we have everything listed properly and that the coverages, because if you look at an insurance policy, it says, you know, they're gonna cover everything except this and this and this, except for that. And if that happens, then something else, and
Fully understood.
Yes.
Yeah, it didn't say independent insurance advisor, so I just wanted to make sure that
it would
that's
be,
what was.
it would be an independent, yes.
All right, thank you.
Counselor Green?
Based on that communication from you, how often, under best business practices, should things like this come up and be addressed? Like you said, it'd been a long time since we have even addressed this, but, so moving forward for best practices, how often should we have a relook at some of these
Sure.
issues?
It's, insurance is something that doesn't necessarily have to go out to bid. It's one of the exceptions to the procurement laws. That being said, I think it's one of those things we look at and see how, you know, are we comfortable with what we're doing or are we not comfortable? And I think based on our experiences with BF Brown, we're not comfortable. Beyond that, it's probably something every 5 years, every 10 years, we should be looking at just to make sure. And we do. We go through this with our carrier every year. We go through to make sure that the listings are proper, that we're covering all the buildings we're supposed to. If we've sold property, that it's off the list. Vehicles is a never-ending battle to try and make sure we have a correct list.
Does your department do year-end audits that in previous years could have said, and again, before the whole BF Brown and Maya insurance thing, would they have made a recommendation that it may be time to look at some of these coverages and make sure that we're covered?
I think the Insurance Commission kind of does that every year, every spring. We sit down with the broker who's representing us with with Maya and make sure that we have the coverages, and they bring to us whatever changes could possibly be made. We also ask about what kind of coverage or changes could be out there. So there's been an annual review. This would be a little different in that we get somebody outside that's gonna look at the policy specifically and make sure that what we think we got is what we got.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Counselor Beazle?
Thank you. So, was I right when I heard you say that our present insurance company would also be open to bid for this?
No,
Okay,
no. This would be for an independent advisor.
right. So in other words, when we list this, or when we go looking for somebody,
When we look for we'll have an independent advisor. They will do the analysis and tell us if they feel we should go out to bid for coverage. When we go out to bid for coverage, Maya, who provides our coverage, would be eligible to bid for that part of it.
okay,
But Maya would not bid on the advisor.
the advisor part of it. Okay, thank you. Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve 29317. All those in favor? Opposed? It is unanimous.
Thank you.
Last on the agenda, 295-17, order that the city of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of funds from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, Aeronautics Division, Runway 32 Approach Obstruction Removal Grant, and the approximate amount of $64,250 for the purpose of said grant, which is to remove obstructions on the approach to Runway 32. Airport Manager Scott Ellis.
This $64,250 is the state's share of an FAA grant, AIP 26, I believe. Approximately total $1.3 million, 90% paid by the FAA, 5% paid by the state, and 5% is going to be a local share, and this is for vegetative obstruction removal, modification and removal of utility poles, and modification and removal of buildings on the 3-2 end, which is almost predominantly in Leominster. Does anybody have any questions?
Motion made and seconded to approve 295-17. Speaking on the motion, Counselor Joseph.
How did we, or when did we commit our 64,000? Is that part of this year's budget coming up, or is that, do we have to match this, right?
Yes, that's not part of this year's budget. We're continually working with Mr. Brooks. This is part of the second phase of a three-phase project, and the airport will be either getting a loan from the city or a bond from the city at the conclusion of the project, and I expect we'll be paying it back over the course of 20 years.
Do you have an amount for what that looks like?
I have a rough estimate, but it would be a guess at this point. I can get a more accurate number for you in a couple of days.
So the $64,250, that is, so 5% of that would be our share? Is that the right way to?
We match that amount.
No, that will be our share.
The 64 is the 5%.
Yes, 64,000 is the 5% the state's paying, and then we have to match it with our own $64,250.
And that's going to be taken out via a loan from the city?
It's, this, the city's share has generally been appropriated within the airport budget annually.
Okay.
And what's been appropriated is the expectation of what we expect to spend out of these grants in the coming fiscal year.
So is it a fair statement
it
that
is
it's
not
in their
that-
budget?
I would say the expense for this year is in the budget.
Okay.
The purpose of this grant, this is phase 2 of a multi-phase project. The first part was the terminal building, the tree removal on the 1-4 end. Now we're doing the tree removal on the 3-2 end, and then the runway reconstruction. And we're expecting, because of that runway reconstruction and the terminal building, an increase in revenue. So it's if you build it, they will come, is what we're planning on. We do have expenses built into our budget that cover the year, but I don't have an exact amount as to what the total is going to be when this project is finished.
Bottom line is, every year when we assess our budgetary needs, we factor in these bonds that we're taking out with these grants that we're receiving from the feds and the state.
Right. We have not taken, the only loan we've taken for the airport at this point has been $800,000, a loan order portion of $800,000 for the terminal construction.
Right, because that's what we had in the works at that time.
Correct.
Now that this is happening, it'll probably be reflected in
It could be.
in 19 probably, fiscal year 19?
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
Motion was made and seconded to approve 295-17. Any questions on the motion from committee members? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.